of Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. I'm Dr. Erin McKinley, and today we have another awesome senior session as I sit down with May 2021 dietetics graduate Laura Mihova to chat about her success in our dietetics program, her experience applying to a Preselect position with the program she will be attending in the fall, as well as her best tips and tricks on how to be successful in a dietetics program. This was a really great conversation, as Laura is a longtime mentee of mine, and I will miss her so much after she's gone, and I hope you also enjoy this episode. Check it out. All right, Laura, welcome to the podcast. To get us started for this episode, give us a little bit of an introduction to you, where you're from, a little bit about your why when it comes to wanting to become a dietitian, and where you're headed after graduation.
So, hi, Dr. McKinley. First, I want to thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Laura Mihova. I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas. I chose dietetics because growing up, a lot of people in my family had chronic conditions like diabetes, hypothyroidism, that kind of thing. And I had a lot of exposure to healing through food. And then also my mom majored in restaurant management in her undergrad. So I grew up in the kitchen too. After LSU, I'm going to be attending UT School of Public Health in Houston for both my dietetic internship and my master's of public health.
All right. So I know that your journey is a little bit different since you were going back and forth between what you thought you wanted to do. But as far as making this big life decision to pursue an internship, what were your kind of thoughts and feelings around that time? You really had to make that decision on like where you're going to apply.
So, obviously any change in life is pretty scary, particularly with this, because I knew, even though I'm getting grandfathered into the master's requirement, how we don't necessarily have to have a master's, I knew that was something that I wanted to pursue just because I know that somebody who graduates 3 years younger than me is going to have that up against me. So I knew I was going to want to get my master's. I wasn't really sure when I wanted to get my master's, and I figured it would be easier to do it at the same time. But this has definitely been the biggest decision I've ever had to make for myself. So when I was younger, my stepdad, he used to always tell me, the only certainty in life is change, right? So I've always taken that to heart. And moving to Houston to start my life is going to be a huge adjustment, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm accepting that change with open arms. And I was actually going to apply to a different program through DICAS, but I heard back just in time from UT, and it's a very competitive program. It's very rigorous, but I'm up for the challenge, and I think that LSU has really prepared me for it.
So how did you explain having to do a dietetic internship and the application process to your family?
So it seems pretty confusing to most people. I think people think that the whole internship aspect is like not legitimate. Like I think that they think it's just shadowing a dietitian or something like that. I kind of explain it to people as like nursing school context, where after you graduate, you go for a year for school and then you do your clinicals for the rest of the time. So that's kind of how I explain what the internship is. It is like a very solid path. So I think that that's really, encouraging for me, because I have a lot of anxiety with uncertainty, and knowing that I'll have a structured, kind of like curriculum to follow. So that has been kind of the way that I explain that to other people. Everyone's been very unconditionally supportive of my choices. And then also with applying to Texas, I'm from Texas, and financially it made the most sense to go there. Also, all of my family still lives there. So it is kind of a bonus to be closer to home.
So what other sources of support have you had throughout the dietetics program and in the application process?
So I will say first, within the NFS department and all of my peers and stuff, I have been also unconditionally supported. I think that it's been a really awesome program. But outside from that, so my parents and my sister have always been very supportive and proud of my academic achievements. Both my mom and my dad work in academia. So they really helped me narrow down my choices, ranging anywhere from the strength of my degree, if I wanted to get an MS versus a MPH. My dad did a return on investment calculation. He's a finance guy. But all of that, just that really helped me narrow down those choices. And then, of course, no matter where I ended up going, they would be supportive of me, but they really helped me kind of like alleviate a lot of that stress of pursuing a graduate degree. My sister's also in grad school right now, so I kind of know what to expect and everything like that. So that's been really helpful.
I feel like I may need to have your dad show me how to do that so that I can do that for the students, because that was really amazing that you just said that.
It was so like extra. He was like, okay, if you take out loans and they cost this much, and then your salary is expected to be this much after you graduate, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole.
Very smart though. Very smart.
Yeah.
We should be including that in our prep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some things that you wish you knew earlier in the program about either the program itself, dietetic internships, the process to become a dietitian? What are some things that you wish you knew earlier?
So I actually came into college as pre-vet. Like I said, I'm out of state, so I came to LSU to go to vet school. But I'm so lucky that I chose to change my major my first semester freshman year, because this curriculum, in my opinion, right, is sequential. So if I hadn't changed, if I had waited to change my spring semester or like my first semester sophomore year, I potentially could have, that could have held me back a year. And then being out of state, my scholarship only covers so much. So I think that's really important for people to know going into this program, is that a lot of classes are spring only, fall only, and they back up each other, like they're prereqs for each other. So staying on track is really important in this major. Also something that I kind of struggled with a lot through the course of this, because I've always done really well academically. I had this kind of self-perceived inadequacy with my degree. So I switched to pre-med because that's one of the concentrations in the NFS major. But I switched to pre-med for like a very short period of time. And then I realized that just because I can go to med school doesn't necessarily mean that I should. So I think it's really important for prospective students to, identify what it is you're passionate about. And if you really are passionate about something, that you should stick with it, because like my personal definition of success is happiness, right? And if you're stuck doing something that you're not 100% on for the rest of your life, no amount of money will make you happy or successful.
All right. So just to catch our viewers up to speed, who may have been viewing some of the other senior sessions I filmed this month, your journey is a little bit different because UT has a pre-select process. So that is the application process that you went through, and you were successful in that to where you didn't have to go through DICAS completely. So talk about that application process and just like your honest thoughts and feelings about like that, the pre-select application process.
So honestly, when I found out about the pre-select thing, I was over the moon, because I am like a very anxious person by nature, and the prospect of having to, wait for 2 months after submitting DICAS, like I was not into that. So I figured, okay, I'll apply for pre-select. The way that their program works is that you can apply early, and then the unfortunate thing is that you don't hear back until like a little less than a month before DICAS is due. So I already had to start filling that out too, just in case. But pretty much you apply early. If you don't get selected for pre-select, you can still apply through DICAS. They already have your application and everything, and then do the match that way. So for me, the tricky thing was that I had to fill out SOFAS. So I was also applying to a different program, as I mentioned earlier. So I did start filling out my DICAS. But I appreciate that DICAS kind of consolidates all of the applications, whereas with SOFAS, the other program I was applying to was an MS. So SOFAS is only for public school or public health, school of public health programs, right? And so that was a Common App, but I was only applying to one school. So it was like this huge thing that I had to fill out. And then on top of that, if I was still planning to apply to my other program, I had to do DICAS and their like independent application. So that's something to keep in mind with just master's program in general, whether or not you're doing pre-select, is that you have to make sure you're applying to all the right things, so that you're not leaving something out. Because I had to be accepted to both the School of Public Health and then get like matched for the internship. So I found out maybe 3 days after I applied to the actual School of Public Health that I was accepted. And that was very confusing for me because I knew that wasn't, like, I knew I'd be hearing back from the program director. But, you know, I still had to do all the things online and, you know, submit my immunizations and stuff all before I heard back. And then something else that was kind of interesting for me was that my deadline was the first week of December, I think, or maybe December 15th. And then any students who are enrolled currently at a UT school, so, you know, UT Austin, UT Dallas, anything like that, they had an extension until January 15th to apply Preselect. So I still had to wait 2 months. And that was kind of nerve-wracking. I ended up hearing back, I think, like January 22nd or something like that. So I was already on my way to fill out all of my diecast stuff. But it was relieving. I think it was relieving and nice to fill out the SOFAS thing early and just get it done with so that I could focus on school. And then just kind of waiting around to hear.
So UT Health doesn't require an interview. You didn't have to do a video. So how did you get to know the director of that program?
So when I was researching programs, especially the ones that I was really interested in, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of put my foot in the door, match a name to a face. I sent her an email, Miss Piga Plunkett, she's our director. So I sent her an email that I was interested, and then she arranged a phone call. And we talked on the phone for a while. We got along pretty well. And I told her, you know, like, I really do want to learn more about this program. I'll come down to Houston some weekend, and if you could show me around. So I went down. We talked for a little bit. It was a very informal process. It wasn't scary or anything. And then it was really cool because she was showing me how proud she was of her program that she's, you know, developed and everything. She showed me the garden and all of their demo kitchens and things like that. They have a hospital simulator where it's like a dummy and they make it talk and sweat and stuff. It was really cool. It was really cool to see how excited she was about the program. So that was really nice that I got to see that hands-on and meet her. And then, you know, afterwards connect on LinkedIn, send her a thank you email. But I think that definitely helped a lot with my own application, just because it's not just like some random person. Like, she knows who I am now. So I think that was a really good thing to do.
And for those that are watching that are interested in UT Health, they did a podcast with us, episode 7. You get to see the director and hear all about the amazing program that they have down there. So do you have any other highs or lows that you want to share throughout the entire process?
I would definitely say that my highs would be feeling super prepared. I had my resume, my personal statement, all of that polished and perfect by the time I like knew where I wanted to apply. So I didn't have to like wait and keep, you know, editing it and stuff like that. Like, once I applied to SOFAS, like, I just like plopped it in. So that was really cool. Also connecting with the program director, that was really exciting. And then just, you know, in general, feeling really well prepared. I think I've done a lot of networking with professionals before. So like through the college bag or through some of our classes in the NFS program, like, I've gotten a lot better at professionalism and, you know, kind of carrying myself with confidence when talking to a more authoritative figure. So that really like was a high for me, feeling prepared in that way. I will say a low that I had was my confusion with the MPH and DI acceptance, because like I said, I was accepted 3 days after submitting SOFAS, but I hadn't heard from the DI. And I also didn't get a confirmation email for like the little tiny separate application for the DI, which was just like, how many, you know, volunteer hours do you have for this, blah, blah, blah. I never got a confirmation email. And I'm like scouring my email, freaking out. Did I miss something? Did I not? Is this not going to happen? I just thought that I had screwed something up. And after checking and checking again, and incessantly emailing everyone what's going on. I found out that I was fine. I had nothing to worry about. It just like I said, I am a super anxious person and I hate waiting. The waiting was pretty horrible for me.
So how did it feel? Because you really didn't know the email or the contact from the director was coming, right? So how did it feel when that information was brought to your attention that you got into the actual both parts of the program?
So it's kind of funny. So I was on my Zoom call or like class for MNT, and that class is like 3 hours long, right? And it's like seminar and you have to be engaged. And my phone buzzed and I just like looked at it and it was from her, right? And it's like, I'm offering you an acceptance or, you know, a seat in our thing. And I was like, over the moon. And I was also getting kind of nervous because obviously I want to like text everyone, call everyone, email you, email Miss Myhan, everyone. But I'm in class, so I'm like antsy. I'm about to jump out of my chair. And then on top of that, she said I had 24 hours to respond. And at this point I was pretty set. Like that's where I wanted to go, you know? But it's kind of funny because so the other program that I was applying to needed a GRE score. And I hadn't taken the GRE yet. And I had been studying for the GRE all week. And like, I was just nervous because if I didn't get that Preselect, like I would still have to take the GRE. Well, I got my acceptance letter the day before my GRE was scheduled. So needless to say, I didn't take it, you know, that was $300 out of my pocket. But yeah, I was really excited. I was, you know, more excited about the DI, but also very, very excited that I didn't have to take the GRE anymore. So that was pretty nice. Yeah.
So you weren't conflicted at all? Did you have a moment of like, I don't know, did I make the right decision?
My thing was, so am I allowed to say what other program I applied to?
If you want to.
Okay. So I was going to apply to Texas Women's. I did the same thing with them. Like I talked to their program director, got a campus tour, everything like that. I really liked their program too. And so that was the conflict there was that, I guess if I had to go through with DICAS, right, who would I put first? Because if UT didn't want me the first time, what were the odds that I'd get my first match? And Texas Women's, like, you know, I really liked it there. But then that kind of goes back to talking to my parents about, you know, the weight of my degree, what's more applicable in the dietetics realm, like MS versus MPH. I want to go to the community route anyway. And pretty much what they're telling me at Texas Women's is the MS is really good if you want to go into research, but more, I guess, like on the molecular level, like chemistry stuff. And that wasn't really something that I was interested in, but it was still a really strong program. It seemed really interesting to me. I think I just like my gut was telling me Houston. And then also just Denton in general, like he was asking me if I was planning on staying at home because I'm from Fort Worth and that's 40 minutes from Denton maybe, because all of their rotations are largely in like the DFW Metroplex. So Dallas, Fort Worth, that kind of thing. And I kind of thought, okay, well, why would I move somewhere if I'm going to just end up getting a job in Dallas or Fort Worth, right? Like I'd rather in Houston, like stay where I'm at, be established. And then if I get a job from one of my rotations or something, like I won't have to move anywhere. So that was kind of a big pull for me too.
All right. So what is one thing that you did while you were an undergrad here that you really feel like separated you from all the other applicants?
Okay, so I would say number one, I'm in my work year right now, actually. So I work at the Student Health Center. I'm the dietitian's assistant. There's only one spot available for students, and the turnaround is every 2 years. So I started when I was a sophomore, and then now we've actually just filled the position. And it's not like, I wouldn't really say that that is a prospect for all students, just because like this is a great opportunity for me, and that obviously sets me aside. But, you know, as far as recommendations for other students, if that's not an available option, something that I did and I highly recommend, is to really get to know the faculty and establish like, interpersonal relationships with them. So Dr. McKinley was my mentor for College of Ag, and it really helped us get to know each other both on a professional level, but, cultivate a deeper relationship between the two of us. And then in the same way, I was super involved in the food lab, not for volunteer community service or anything like that, but I just really liked being there and hanging out with this Miss Myhand. So she had an open door policy. I would suggest to any NFS student to get acquainted with her, help out whenever you want. We could always use a hand. And pretty much when I'm not working, I would just, if I was on campus, walk over there, help set up, help students cook. It's been really fun and rewarding. And it helps you get involved on campus, but also establishes that, personal relationship with someone who can really, lend you a hand in the future.
Do you think your work with the Student Health Center kind of morphed your desire to go more into the community realm?
So yes and no, because pretty much what I do, I conduct all of the nutrition orientation appointments. So Emily is a counseling dietitian. That's not clinical or anything like that. It's just more of a one-on-one, but we are so the health center has 3 levels. There's mental health, medical clinic, and then my department is wellness and health promotion. So on top of the appointments that I do, we also are responsible for all of the health outreach, like public health outreach. So flu shots, COVID stuff. This department, even though we're not the ones administering the flu shots, we do all of the campaigning, all of the promo. I actually participate a lot in the social media campaigns. All my friends send me them on TikTok. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's fun, right? Like it's something that I really like is that outreach aspect. And with public health, a lot of that health promotion is a big motif. So I definitely think that it helped me gain a big appreciation for that. Also, working in the food lab and things like that with Eat Healthy team, doing a lot of like community outreach there too, hosting cooking classes, going in the community and cooking for them. I think that is really what molded my, I just think that it would be more fulfilling for me to work in the community and serve the community than to just do one-on-one.
So is there anything that you wish that you had done a little bit better in order to prepare either for the application process or prepare to leave us and become an intern?
Right. So I did a lot of things right, I think, getting involved, making those relationships with everyone, getting a lot of like shadowing and networking opportunities. But I will say that I wish I was a little bit more involved in SNDA, or that I could have held some sort of leadership position either in SNDA or brand or something like that. My job is pretty time consuming. I'm here 20 hours a week. And I have a lot on my plate, especially with school and everything else like that. So I think that would have helped me a lot with, making friends in my major, and then kind of linking up with my peers, see how people are approaching their application process, kind of what their highs and lows are. That's not to say I don't have friends in my major, but I definitely think that the kind of SNDA group is pretty close. And like, I don't want to say I'm like peripheral to that. I'm not, but it's less on a group basis and I'm more friends individually with people within my major. So I think that that's something that could have been really helpful for me, just to kind of scope out how everyone else is doing and what they're feeling about things.
So I would definitely agree that you did a lot of things correct. So for the viewers at home, I would say Laura is very highly decorated as a student here at LSU. You got the Louisiana Outstanding Dietetics Student of the Year this year, which is not an easy feat. So congratulations on that. I know that you apply for every single scholarship that's out there, which I commend you on, because it's proof that if you apply, you get the scholarship. Like you just have to apply. So
yeah.
Do you have like any kind of like tips or tricks about the applications for scholarships?
So, okay. This is kind of funny. I made a note about this. So not to be cliche, right? But I think that it's really important to get involved wherever that might be, whatever it might be. It's never too early to start building your resume. And I was lucky because I came into college with a resume. I don't know why, or I don't know. I just had a resume and it was like already formatted and good. And then from there, I've just kind of been replacing things, volunteer stuff, clubs, things like that. And then having a solid resume, I think, is really the winner for a lot of scholarships, right? Because even if you're not uploading your resume, you have everything written out. If you have to say like what volunteer opportunities, like what, how have you been involved, all of those things. And then pretty much like the more you do it, because you're right. Like I have like every time I see one, I'm like, okay, this is easy now. They're all pretty much the same format. And then say, yeah, I do get a scholarship. I put that on my resume and that strengthens my resume even more. So I would really encourage students to do that. I also, that's kind of just a boredom thing. Like I'm kind of ADHD, so I like need to focus on something sometimes. And like, I will say a lot of the time prompts are pretty similar. So I have a folder on my desktop that I save any personal essay, like my personal statement, any scholarship essay that I ever have to write, because they do vary. But then if it's like one of those easy ones that's like 100-word, write something about yourself, you can just kind of pull inspiration from there and not have to rethink the whole thing out,
So what other best tips and tricks do you have for future dietetic students, current students, future applicants?
Going back to the SMDA thing, I think that it's really important to get involved there. Obviously, there are countless opportunities at LSU, especially in the College of Ag, because it is such a small college. So they provide you all kinds of ways to get involved. But I definitely think on a more specific level, SNDA should be the priority versus other things, just because that's how you meet everyone in your major. Literally, you will have every single class with them, at least your junior and senior year, every single person in the same class. So it's really important, I think, that you establish those connections early and like make friends and form study groups and things like that. I think that's super, super important. Also, I think it's really important to keep an open mind with things. I know most people, when they think dietetics, think clinical or sports. Sports is really big thing right now at LSU. But like keeping your options open, you never know what you're going to end up liking. And if you tell yourself, this is what I like, that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Like if it's not what you're super passionate about and you're not kind of following your heart, I don't really think that would be a fulfilling future. So I think just being open to that, because who knows, like I'm going community right now, but I don't know, I might end up loving food service. But, going in with an open mind, open heart, that kind of thing, I think it's really important not to just like tell yourself this is what I'm going to do, because things change.
All right. So I know that there's always rumors going around about our program, our profession, applying to internships, all that good stuff. Are there any rumors that you've heard that you can either confirm or deny for us?
Yeah, so I actually had a really weird rumor come up at the beginning of this year. So a younger classmate was telling me that her like dietetics class was kind of secretive about their volunteer opportunities and things like that, because they didn't want their resumes and their applications to look exactly the same. I don't know if that's true, but rumor has it, right, that oh my God, if we volunteer at every single event and we have the same internship and blah, 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 when we apply, like our applications will be identical. So that people are trying to avoid that. But in my opinion, I don't really think that is true. I think so long as you're involved with something, it doesn't really matter if you're just as involved as the next person. I think that the focus should be more on being involved than not, and obviously be creative with what you want to do, but you shouldn't deny an opportunity just because somebody else might also want to do it.
I love that this is the first I'm hearing of this. It's just one of those things I'm going to add to my prep class as far as like, please stop being secretive. You don't need to be.
I thought it was so bizarre. She was telling me, I was like, what are you talking about? I don't think that that's true. Like,
I mean, I can kind of understand that you want to separate yourself from the pack, so to speak, and have a unique resume. But volunteering is very limited. So it's like keeping it a secret is not really anything. Someone's going to find out about it.
Yeah. Well,
it's better to share and have a team with you having fun and volunteering than hiding everything just so you can have a unique resume.
Yeah. Well, and also, if you want to spice it up a little bit, like on my resume, I'm a member of the Baton Rouge Epicurean Society. I don't know if you know what this is, but that's just something like me and my roommate do. And like even that, like even if my resume is identical to the next person, and then I had like one thing to spice it up, just like something that I like to do. Or if you put on your resume your personal interests, like I like to go swimming or whatever it is, just something to kind of set yourself apart. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the things that are available to you, because like you said, there's, sometimes not that much, like, I don't know.
Sometimes there's really nothing going on, and we have slim pickings on what we can supply to students.
Well, and especially with the COVID stuff, like a lot of restrictions. With Miss Myhan, they're doing virtual outreach for the vet school, right? So Eat Healthy does like cooking demonstrations, and they upload them on YouTube. And so just because it might not be an obvious opportunity, like I think also just searching for things like that to do, like there's plenty of things if you look for them,
All right. Do you have any last words of wisdom for our viewers? It can be about anything.
M&T is not as scary as you think it will be. It's actually really fun, and Miss Motley is a rock star. I'm just saying, everyone thinks that it's very scary, but the way that she approaches it is more seminar approach. So we do our homework, we turn it in, then the next day in class or next week in class, like we just go over it. Like it's not like you get points deducted. Grades are not everything. I definitely think that students should maybe look at the grades, the DPD grades, or the classes that you need to submit for your DPD GPA. I think that those ones are probably should be more of the focus. If you're taking calculus and it's killing you, I think that that's okay so long as you do well in your nutrition classes and chemistry or whatever. And then something that I touched on earlier, if your gut tells you that you're passionate about something, like you really should run with it. Like I said, I'm going the community route because it's what I genuinely enjoy. But dietetics really is such a broad field that you can go anywhere with it. And who knows, if you have an open mind, you might end up finding something that you really, really enjoy. So I encourage anyone listening to open your mind and your heart when deciding where you want to go with your career.
All right, Laura, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and for sharing your experiences and all of your words of wisdom for our viewers. Thank you so much. Good luck to everything. Congratulations on all your successes. I know you're going to represent LSU so well down in Houston. And don't forget to keep in touch and keep us posted on how well you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll miss you so much. I'll come back and